February 1st, this is the last of the hearings until June. No, I don't want to say last. Okay. February 1st, we had a hearing today, and now we're all set. June 18th is the date, as I posted before. Today was the last check-in hearing. This will be the longest I think I'm going to go without having had a case management hearing in the case. Today, we confirmed, Mr. Pierce, do you want to hold this for a second?
Yep.
Just hold those documents there. We got Mr. Pierce behind the camera as usual, and in the courtroom, and doing the research, filing stuff at the Court of Appeal. I digress. So, now we have, the bail conditions have been set. We're done. Yeah, that's right. Technically, I'm out on bail still. So now, we have all of the conditions. 9 a.m., June 18th is when I gotta come in. Can you imagine? I have to surrender to the sheriff's office, I was told today. So I have to go, surrender, and then they're gonna bring me up from that whole background process, whatever it is, and then I'm gonna be brought up to the courtroom to represent myself. Absolute total farce, and we let them have it today in court. The final factum has been filed. This factum is the summary of all of the reasons why. Yes, you do need this many pages to explain why the truth should be allowed to be used in court. After they did the whole procedure, and after all of the conditions were set, and I knew I was completely free of this for 5 months, then we brought some other documents today. And I'm gonna, again, defer to Mr. Pierce, as my bail document gets a little wet there, but that's okay, we got copies. So now, look at what came in. Look at what came in the news. It's Mr. Pierce, expert filing witness. Is that a thing, filing witness? That's not a thing. I've slept about 45 minutes. I had a great many other things happening, and now the whole of what's gone on, what it all means, how it all ties in together, some of it's hitting the front pages, and we will connect all the dots for you coming soon. Look at this. Fired without cause. Over 20 employees in the legislature were fired for trying to speak about what was going on internally there. And trust me when I tell you, this runs a lot deeper than just legislature expenses. Now, that was the headline a few days ago, as a lot of you would have read. Staff asking questions may have led to firings. No, they led to the firings, didn't may have. And now, Mr. Plekis, the speaker, is willing to rescind the non-disclosure agreements and whatnot so that they get the accurate evidence over here. And we will tie in how all of this whole puzzle over the last 17, 19 years here fits all in together. And I, by accident, got caught up in this same group of individuals, people, government, BC government, federal government, court system, for a totally different reason. But the interconnectedness is what we uncovered over the years, that this is a big machine that just mulches people. So it's not an individually targeted thing from the outset, or in our case it wasn't. It's just a machine that just destroys. It's like a country that has a regime that just destroys any opposing voices. So it wasn't a personal thing. If I was the only person that went through this, then it's cool, in one way it's great because it was just targeted at least. This is just a machine that mulches and mulches and mulches. And now the machinery's wrongdoing is coming out in the forefront. So now, look at this. This is in the province from a couple days ago. The headline reads, "We aren't even close to being done. Police looking at a lot more stuff aside from expenses in the legislature." Let me tell you, there is a lot more stuff. There are names in here, and in this article, there are names that we've intersected with along the way. Government departments, people, attorney generals, whatnot. At the end of the day, everyone was in on it. The money laundering's way worse than anyone ever dreamt of. They first originally came out with a $100 million estimate, and people that know me and our group of thousands of supporters globally and in Canada, they know that that whole problem in and of itself was way worse. Now they're saying it's over 2 billion. How are you off by 1.9 billion on that estimate? And that's still not the complete whole picture. But again, we will connect the dots at another time. So now, what we've done here, rather than continuously just fight one case at a time, one factum at a time, one court hearing at a time, because it's a systemic problem, and it is a systemic problem, my good friend here, Mr. Pierce, has sent this letter over to the departments that needed to see it. And now this whole thing will become very, very public very, very soon. And there's Mr. Pierce's wonderful John Hancock, is that what they call it?
Something like that.
Something like that. Mr. Pierce, if you'd like to speak to your signing ability. Oh, he's not ready to talk yet. Mr. Pierce, give it time. Give it a few more days. Give it another week or two. Mr. Pierce has been digging and learning and searching and doing, and here he is, John Hancocking things. So there he is, yep. Mr. Pierce. Now I'm gonna go back to this here. So we have now formed a national movement. A national movement where people will have the ability to protest and be able to cast their ballot for something that's completely different. This isn't about power, this isn't about getting into government. This is about fixing this country and all of the things that are broken within it. And a much more detailed, simplified, point by point, line by line, sit-down interview will be done with Mr. Pierce. We'll hear where he will explain in a calm, coherent manner, not in an unrested manner such as I am today. I'm just trying to capture the emotion of the moment, because right now we're going to get all of our transcripts. We're going to get all of the transcripts over even the last 20 years to do with what's gone on in the government, in the BC government, in the federal government, our particular case. Every single dot will be knit together, and then people can see what and how all of it connects. It's been a long time coming. It's been a lot of work behind the scenes, and this here will be explained in much, much more careful and further detail very, very, very soon. Mr. Pierce, I'd like to thank you for all the work you do and the army of individuals you have behind you. And now we have thousands and thousands and thousands of people that have signed up and have put their names to wanting to support this global movement, and it's bigger than any one person. We are all being marginalized and affected in one way or another. In the craziest way, even the wealthy people are. Because the wealthy people's kids gotta go to school with other kids, and then their friends' parents are marginalized, but one group isn't marginalized, and you've got so many different layers to this puzzle. People have to start fixing society. You cannot keep functioning like this when naked abuses of power are out there to the point where 20 plus employees that have just stepped forward now are starting to have to speak out in the legislature. God knows what's going on in the federal government on top of the things we've already learned. There's websites out there, there's accounting firms that have been involved, there's been banks that have been involved. This log could be 7 hours, and one day during the documentary, movie, whatnot, it will be. So today we had a very bombastic day in court in terms of once all the procedures were set, then I got to say my piece just in case something were to happen and I got hit by a bus mysteriously, which hopefully doesn't happen, and I will try to stay out of the bus's way. But there are a lot of things that need to be fixed. I've spent the majority of my adult life learning and dealing with all of these different situations that were put upon me. I'm one of the lucky ones that got to be alive still through this whole process, and it's come at a humongous personal toll for myself, my family, my friends, and now all of it's going to be accounted for. Every single bit of it is going to be accounted for, and people can decide for themselves now what their government, the higher-ups, accountants, lawyers, judges, professionals, you name it. This is not a one-off problem. This is an issue that needs to be fixed. For every good judge, they need to help, root out who the bad ones are. For every good lawyer, we need to root out the bad lawyers. For every good accountant, we need to root out the bad accountant. These are all people that are our family, friends, colleagues, people we know. There are a great many professionals that do their job properly and do not do the wrong thing. By and large, that's how it is. The higher up, right at the top, is where a lot of the corruption actually comes from, and then everyone has to pay for it. Taxpayer money was used to prosecute me because of the allegation of writing truthful blogs. I mean, that is an absolute ridiculous sentence that I never thought I'd have to speak in this country. So, having said that, Mr. Pierce is now getting tired. He has to get on with his day, and we will end this very longer than usual vlog that didn't fit into a minute, because the time for 1 minute vlogs is now over. I did that for a while. Now we have to go into the lengthy, line by line, what happened, how it happened, and how it all connects. In this video, I've covered a multitude of topics which cannot be connected all properly here today. But believe me, when I say the evidence is there, the army of people that have it are all over the world, and now we're safe and it's all gonna come out, but let's all come at it with the perspective that we want to fix the problem rather than just pointing fingers at one another, even to the people that were the perpetrators. You can only reconcile and have peace and fix something when everyone comes to the table. Yeah, certain people along the way went too far, and they're gonna have to have criminal investigations, and they're gonna have to get charged, and they're gonna have to go through the process, as I was explained, that having to be cuffed and have to go through the sheriff's office to get to a courtroom is the process. Well, this process now has to work for the common citizen as well. So let's use these processes, and hopefully during that time. Did I use quotes, by the way? I think I saw that in a Friends episode when Joey's trying to do the quotes, but he does them wrong, and Chandler's like, "No, Joe, you didn't use them properly." Anyways, I completely digress. These are the things that keep me sane, is the bit of humor, and that, my friends, is an all over the place, all over the map vlog that I needed to just get out there today for record's sake, if anything else, if nothing else. And I will sit down and give you a line by line interconnected summary, and so will Mr. Pierce and about 6 or 7 other people that have been preparing for this for a very long time, that will be the public face of a lot of years and a lot of time spent by a lot of people around the world to bring all of this to the surface. We ourselves didn't know how deep it ran, how many departments were connected, who was doing what. And now it's time to share the information. So on that note,
all right,
12 and a half minutes, I think we broke a record.
I think so too.
Mr. Pierce is getting ready to share his thoughts with the world.
Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Pierce,
looking forward to it.
Looking forward to it. You ready?
Ready.
You're going to be a lot more vocal moving forward, aren't you?
I'm working on it.
Yeah, he's been waiting. He's been waiting.
You know it.
All right.
Let's go.
The research beast known as Pierce. Let's get ready to rumble. Here comes Pierce in the blue, red, green, white corner. All right, to the law courts he goes.